name is Casandra Trahan, and I'm here to do a brief training on hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide is also referred to as H2S. Why does this concern me, and why is it important that you know about it? H2S ranks second behind carbon monoxide as the leading cause of death from toxic chemicals in the U.S. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, H2S poisoning was the main cause of at least 52 occupational-related deaths in the U.S. from 93 to 99. And of those deaths, 9 involved multiple casualties, where some were killed trying to rescue other workers. Tragically, hardly a week goes by that does not include a fatal accident somewhere in the world due to H2S exposure. About H2S. It's caused by the petrifying or rot of organic matter such as fossil fuels, wood, sewage, landfills, and fruits and vegetables. H2S also has other names. Some people call it rotten egg gas. Others call it stink damp, sulfated oxygen, heptic gas, sulfur hydride, and two-step gas. H2S danger areas for us are going to be the drilling rigs, the well servicing equipment, and the production and refineries. Characteristics of H2S is that it's invisible, it's explosive, it's colorless, it's corrosive, it's flammable, and it's deadly. Other facts about H2S is its vapor density is 1.189. It has an auto-ignition temperature at 500 degrees. To put that into perspective, cigarette burns at 1100 degrees. When it's flared, it produces sulfur dioxide, or SO2. It is very corrosive. It forms iron sulfide scale. So if no salt water is around in the area and rust is, that is a clue that H2S may be present. It forms an explosive mixture when mixed with air in concentrations between 43,000 parts per million and 460,000 parts per million. The time limit exposure. OSHA uses the term permissible exposure limit, called PEL, to define the maximum concentrations of a listed contaminant to which an unprotected worker may be exposed. Depending on the contaminant, the PEL may reference an 8-hour time-weighted average, which we're going to refer to as TWA, or a 15-minute short-term exposure limit, which we're going to refer to as STEL, or an instantaneous ceiling concentration that cannot be exceeded for any period of time. These are your H2S exposure limits. As you can see, the American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists has a short-term exposure limit of 5 parts per million for 15 minutes, or a time-weighted average of 1 part per million at 8 hours. As you can see, this is a very conservative limit, and it is what is followed by most businesses. The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health has an instantaneous seal of 10 parts per million for 10 minutes. OSHA has a short-term exposure limit of 15 parts per million for 15 minutes, or a time-weighted average of 10 parts per million for 8 hours. Stages of exposure. Let's talk about what happens if you are exposed to it. At 1 part per million, let's keep in mind that this is the ACGIH's time-weighted average of 1 part per million. But the short-term level is 5 parts per million. At 1 part per million, you're going to detect the odor. Don't rely on this because it does kill your sense of smell after a term of being exposed to it. At 20 parts per million, there's an obvious unpleasant odor and the beginning of eye irritation. At 50 parts per million, one will experience a headache, dizziness, and extended exposure may cause your loss of smell. At 100 parts per million, it kills your smell in 3 to 15 minutes. It may sting your eyes and throat. You have altered respiration, coughing, and drowsiness, and possible delayed death within 48 hours. At 200 parts per million, it kills your smell shortly. It stings your eyes and throat. There's respiratory irritation, and there's death after 1 to 2 hours of exposure. At 500 parts per million, there's dizziness, breathing ceases within a few minutes. You need prompt artificial respiration, and self-rescue is impossible due to the loss of muscle control. At 700 parts per million, it's unconscious, and death will result if not rescued promptly. At 1,000 parts per million, it's death at once. H2S is present. What do I do? Rigs are equipped with H2S detectors, which activate an alarm when H2S is present. In the event the alarm is activated, take precaution. Here are a few tips. When you hear the alarm, locate the 5-minute pack provided and immediately put it on. The location and proper usage should be discussed on your on-site safety meetings. Look around, find the windsock, and head upwind. This will be the opposite way the sock is pointing. If it's possible, go to your cascade system and connect your mask to the system. This will provide you with an extensive supply of oxygen until help is summoned or H2S is no longer a danger. Remember, the 5-minute pack is only for 5 minutes, so don't wait. If you are in a building when the alarm sounds, immediately exit the building and don your 5-minute pack. Most buildings have intake vents that suck in the H2S, so sitting in the building, you'll be a waiting duck. Please be aware and be safe. Thank you, and have an awesome day.